Okay, first of all, Mr. Thompson, how's it going today?
I'm great. How's it going over there?
Yeah, it's fine. Now, I've had some differing accounts online with regards to where you're from exactly, because some say that you're from Washington, some say that you're from Maryland. Could you just clear that up for me?
Yes, I'm from Washington, D.C. originally. I live currently in Fort Washington, Maryland.
What was that area like growing up for you?
Well, I mean, Washington, D.C. is probably one of the best places in the world to live. So, my childhood was a little rough, but as far as Washington, D.C., I love Washington, D.C. I'm never going to move from this area. So, looking to grow old in my hometown.
Yeah. Now, what was your first exposure to the sport of boxing?
Say it one more time.
Yeah. What was your first exposure to the sport of boxing?
Well, I mean, I remember when I was coming up, I used to watch the guys on NBC, like Sugar Ray Leonard and, Thomas Hearn and all those guys. I didn't never really take an interest in participating in boxing, though, until, I got a little older.
Okay, and now, I see that you're a late starter. You only started boxing, was it in your late 20s, is that correct?
Yes, I was about 27 years old when I first started boxing.
Yeah. Now, did you actually fight as amateur, or did you go straight into the pro game?
Oh, no, I had about 15 amateur fights. I think I was like 13-2 or something like that as an amateur. I had about 15 amateur fights.
Ah, okay then. Now, I noticed that a lot of your early fights went the distance, and you didn't have like that big knockout streak early in your career. You only started knocking people out quite a lot when later on in your career. Why do you think that was the case?
Yeah, I mean, I just started getting more comfortable in the ring, and I started getting more aggressive. I always had a defensive type of style, which made for boring fights early on. Effective but boring, but I started coming into myself and learning the game and going for the knockouts a little more as I went along.
Right. You had an early loss in one of your early fights in a 6-round bout against Eric Kirkland. Now, this guy's fought a couple of notable fighters since then, but he's clearly not on your level. Why do you think this fight didn't go your way?
Well, I was a young fighter at the time. Kirkland had a lot more amateur experience than me. He was with a top-notch guy like Lou Duva. It wasn't the fact that he beat me. It's just that he was with Lou Duva. I was with who I was with, and the judges gave it to the Lou Duva guy. It wasn't that he beat me or anything like that. It's just who he was and who I was. From
this point, you made your way to the top of the sport with a 28-fight impressive win streak. One of the fights was against the current contender Timur Ibragimov, who I believe is related to the former champion Sultan Ibragimov. Now, this fight, interestingly, was at the Playboy Mansion in Beverly Hills. I know that Hef staged a few fights there. I know that David Hayes fought there. I know that Jeff Lacey's fought at the Playboy Mansion. I just wondered what kind of experience that was for you, because it's quite interesting.
Well, it started off very interesting, but, I was missing my boxing shoes, and I wasn't able to put on a great performance for the people. It was sort of like my coming out party. And I wanted to really put on a great performance. I wasn't able to, so it was kind of a down on me. The experience itself for fighting at the Playboy Mansion, meeting Hugh Hefner and the Bunnies was pretty good, but overall, I wanted my...
Yeah, okay. Now, you finally got your title shot in 2008 against Vladimir Klitschko, who still is the unified champion. Was this a long time coming, or did the title shot just seem to fall on your lap?
It definitely was a long time coming. I beat a lot of people. I had to, go through some back channels because I wasn't well known, and I really didn't have a promoter. So I had to take my time and got there a little later than I had liked to, but it came. So.
No, that's fair. The fight took place in Hamburg, Germany, and was aired on HBO. You were stopped in the 11th round, but you had your moments throughout the fight. You actually done as good as many people have done against Vladimir. How did you feel during this fight? Did you feel that you were successfully rubbing shoulders with an elite fighter?
Well, I definitely felt I was successful, but it wasn't a success because you didn't win. I mean, obviously, you want to beat the heavyweight champion of the world. I knew I could compete with him, but competing is not enough. You want to win these type of fights so you can be considered a champion in the history books.
Yeah. Most of the Klitschko fights have been with what you would describe as a small heavyweight. He's fought a couple of big guys like you, and he recently fought Wack, but you're probably the best big guy that he's fought. So going into this fight, do you think that was you very confident? Did you think that you had a big chance of beating the guy?
Well, I knew I was going to beat him. In my mind, I knew I was going to walk out of the heavyweight champion of the world, and I think a lot of people felt the same. But Vladimir is a great champion, and he proved himself.
Well, after this, you dusted yourself off and you went on a knockout streak, and you beat guys such as Witherspoon, you beat Harris, and you beat Owen Beck. But of all your opponents, besides your world title fights, which of them would you say was the most difficult and why?
Really, I will have to go way back to a guy like Von Bean, who was a heavyweight challenge contender. He was very tough for me. I have to go way back. Those other guys after my Cusco fight really were just warm ups. They really didn't belong in the ring with me, to tell the truth. Just to get you back on the scene. But for me, guys coming up for me like the Von Beans and the Dominic Boyens, those guys were tougher for me.
Yeah, Von Bean was undefeated at the time, wasn't he? Is that correct?
Well, he was. If he wasn't at his peak, he wasn't too far. He was very competitive.
Many people don't seem to give the Klitschko's credit, despite the fact that they've been such dominant champions for a long time. Being someone that's been in the ring with Vladimir twice, what do you make of this? Where would you rank them in terms of all-time greats?
Well, to me, I think he is one of the all-time greats. I think I put him, maybe at number 5 behind guys like obviously Ali, number 1 for me. Ali. I'll have to go probably Mike Tyson, Foreman, Lewis, and then Vladimir.
Larry Holmes.
I think Larry Holmes is right below Vladimir.
Yeah. No, that they don't get the credit they deserve. These guys. It's like, what do they have to do to finally get a bit of credit?
Oh yeah.
Moving forward with your career now, what are your goals? Do you want a 3rd title shot, or do you plan to wait for the brothers to retire and try and sweep up one of the vacant titles?
No, I definitely want to challenge the brothers again, but I think I have to do it in a different way. I've had 2 shots at Vladimir already, so you have to do something really huge to deserve a 3rd title shot. So I think what my plan is, I want to get into a position where I can challenge Villani, beat Villani, take his title before he retires, and use that as a lure to get a 3rd title shot with Vladimir. Yeah,
but with Vitali, they've got a current 4-man tournament going on between Jonathan Banks, who beat Seth Mitchell, and Stiverne and Ariola, who fight in January, I believe. Now, are you disappointed that you didn't get involved with that?
I'm very disappointed, but I'll wait for that smoke to clear. Hopefully use a couple of comeback fights to get me back in position while those guys are doing that. And then, once Infinity beats the winner of that tournament, because nobody's in that tournament that could challenge him, then I can come in and sweep up after that.
Right. You're 41 years old, which isn't unheard of for a heavyweight. It's quite common that heavyweights box into the 40s, but taking this into account, how long do you plan to stay in boxing? How long do you think you've got left?
Well, it depends on what my next few performances look like. If I look like I've reached my age, and I'm looking at my age, then I'm definitely going to retire. It's not going to be a thing where I'm going to force myself to stay in this fight. But if I'm still competitive and can win and compete at the top level once I get healthy, I think I can stay until I'm about 45.
Yeah, so you're going to see how it goes. You're not going to sort of set an age and then retire then. If you feel good, you're going to keep going.
Exactly. I'm not beat up. Like I started late, which means I haven't taken a lot of the punishment that some of the other top guys have. So I don't see why I couldn't continue if I'm competitive.
When are you hoping to fight next? And do you have any idea who it's going to be with?
Well, I don't really have any idea at this moment. I'm hoping to have a fight in the next couple of months, at least by February. So I'm looking to get back in the ring by February, hopefully against a top up-and-coming or a top challenger. And then that will really give me a good sense of where I'm at instead of, fighting a lesser guy.
Yeah, that's true. Which heavyweight in history would you have most liked to fight and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it's my fight a tie between Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, just because of his sheer ferocity, to see if you can actually stand in front of a guy like that, face him down, do what you have to do to win. And a guy like Muhammad Ali, whose greatness just, it's just shown above and beyond boxing, and I would just love to share the stage with a guy like that.
Right, we're gonna start to draw this to a close. Is there any message you'd like to send out to your fans?
Just continue to support me. I'm thankful for any fan that I could ever get. I really truly am. It always surprises me when I learn that I have fans. So, I know I didn't look very well in this Vladimir Klitschko fight, but I'm definitely looking to come back and redeem myself.